Okay, let's go.
Of all the robot lawnmowers that I've tested, the Mammotion Luba 2 all-wheel drive 1500H has been one of my favorites. It's been my workhorse, it's been reliable, and it gets it done. But it can do up 2.5 acres. Maybe you don't need that big of a mower, but you still want that's highly capable and does it all. That's what this is. This is the Luba Mini all-wheel drive. This one's pretty cool. It does all the stuff the big guy does, but in a smaller package. There's a few differences that I want to make sure you're aware of before you make any decision on whether you should check this one out or maybe you should size up to the full size. So stick around, we'll go through the design, the build quality, the app and some features you get out of it, and some things that could be better on it before you make your decision. So just make sure you stick around and catch all of it. All right, so let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Mammotion did send me this to test. However, they'll get no input on the video's contents, see it before you, or anything else, so it's all new to everybody at the same time. So like I said, this is the Mammotion Luba Mini all-wheel drive. This particular one is the 8000H model, and there is a 5000H model, as well as a 5000 and an 8000. The difference between the two is going to be the battery capacity, how much it can mow on a charge, and the cutting height. So your cutting height difference between the H and the non-H model is you're gonna get 0.8 to 2.6, and on the H, you're gonna get 2.2 to 4 inches. So if you need you want a higher cut lawn, go with an H model. And if you don't, go with the standard. If you don't have a larger lawn, so the 8000 model is rated at 0.37 acres per charge per run. And then if you've got a 5000 model, it's 0.22. So here's your differences in the two. Otherwise, you're getting the same powerful motors, your same cutting disc size, same sensors and everything else. So with this, it has been nice to use. Since I'm familiar with using the larger size, and the previous model I had is the Mammotion Luba 2 all-wheel drive 10000H, the 2024 model. There was a few changes, and I have not tested the new model yet to see what's different and how they function between the older model and the current, but that is what it is. So the small one, the mini guy. So we've still got the same, just like the big one, you got the Omni Wheels. So the cool thing about these is they're a double thick wheel with wheels in between. So when it turns on this front, it helps to not tear up the ground. So it'll just spin in one spot. Because it's all-wheel drive, it can do 0 turn in a single spot, which is pretty great. We have got a bumper up front with sensors in it, so if it runs into something, it can stop. It does have some sensors up front here, as well as some visions. They call this is their Ultimate Vision Sense, and it's got AI cameras in it and some depth sensors, and it also runs with RTK for location and GPS tracking and mapping services. We have got, you've got independent, you've got lift sensors in it. And you've got your front wheels here have got a spring suspension on them, and they're floating, so it helps it when it's going over terrain to make sure that it can go over different areas and has good stability and make sure it mows evenly for you. The back wheels have got kind of some paddles on them. It's a good rubber tire on the backside. We got our camera module up here. You got a rain sensor across the top of it as well, so if you don't want to be mowing in the rain or when the grass is wet, to better protect your lawn, this will not go out if you have it set up on a schedule to go mow. If it's wet, it'll stay until it is dry again. You have got, on top, we've got one big stop button, so if it's operating, you want it to stop immediately, slap that, cuts all power. And you've got your start, power, home for recharging, and mowing. So there's a few different button configurations when you're using it, as far as when you need it to go and when you want to stop, but all that goes through the app as well, so you don't have to worry about it. Around the back side here, we've got our contact sensors here. So when this charges, it's a wireless charging. It backs into its charger, contacts with it here to power it back up. You're gonna get, it takes about 200 minutes to recharge it. So it does take a while to charge, but it's got a lot of power that it's using to run all the wheels plus the cutter, and it's cutting a good chunk of grass at a time. So it's all right. I don't care if it takes 2.5 hours, 3 hours to charge, as long as I'm not the one mowing, I'm good. I'm back here. So this door covers up the battery. So one thing that's nice about this model is that it does have an easily replaceable battery. So if you want to keep it running more often, you can buy an extra battery, keep it charged up, and just hot swap them out as you go. So that's a really nice feature on this one. There we go. On the bottom side, so like I said, we got our floating here. It does have a rake up front. It's not metal, it's a hard plastic, so that if it's going over anything, comes like maybe a dirt hill or something like that, it will help it to knock that down before it potentially damages this, as well as knock down any leaves or sticks, whatever. So we've got our cutting disc here, so it's a single disc. So on the larger models, you have got dual discs on the bottom side here. but you have the same cutting blades as you would on the bigger models. These are the razor blade style. So these aren't gonna go through and wanna cut down any big, thick, heavy, wet grass. Tall grass, 6, 7 inches tall could be a challenge for it depending on the type of grass. The blades are mainly meant for cutting little pieces of grass off at a time. So you mow more frequently with a robot mower than you would with a traditional mower you're just gonna cut with. So you're gonna mow more often, and you're doing little micro clippings that actually help feed your lawn. So mowing with a robot mower can actually improve your lawn's health by that way. So you got your cutting disc here, sides over here. We don't have the blade guards and disc guards on the side of this as with the larger model that I have, but otherwise the bottom side looks largely the same. Let's go into what we can do with the app and see what we got there. When you've got an advanced mower, you need to have a good app for it, because what good is the robot lawnmower if you don't have a good way to control it, make sure it does what it's supposed to do within the app to go where it's supposed to go and how it's supposed to cut and everything. So Mammotion's been doing this for a while and their app is really good. I think they've done a good job of continuing to evolve it and kind of condensing some of the menus. I remember when I was using the previous versions of the software, it'd sometimes be a little cluttered on where to go to find different sections of and different features and things like that. So it's done a much better job. So let's jump into that. So when you get the mower and go to set it up, it's pretty easy. You get your app, you sign into it. It walks you through the entire process to get your mower up and ready. And once it's in there, you'll be able to see your mower. So like I said, this is an RTK mower. So it does have an RTK tower. And so within that, you're gonna have its own device options to go into it and adjust the settings with RTK, because that is the part of the positioning system that helps the mower know where it is at. And so with the RTK, it can have firmware updates and things like that, and has different connectivity options, whether it's going to be through internet or cellular or other avenues in that route. So within the app, you do have both of those options there. So, but when we jump into the mower, let's go back real quick. So when you're on your mower, you can go straight to manual mode, which is going to bring up your controllers and show you where it's at. You can zoom in on it and see. So you can say right now I'm out of my task area. I'm just off of a path to one of the mowing sections, because when you go in here and set it up in the mapping area, it's really neat because you can actually set this up to manually. You can drive it around what you want it to mow, but it also has the ability to do that using AI and cameras. So while a lot of mowers now are starting to do this ability where they're auto mapping your area for you, that may be fine if you've got a well-defined lawn by sidewalks or gardens or things like that. But if you've got more of an open space, they kind of have troubles with that. So I'm really glad this has both options, because I did test it on a section of my lawn where it is completely blocked off by our driveway, and it drove around the outside of the perimeter and found its mapping area and did the whole thing itself. It was pretty good. But once you go in here and you get it mapped in, you can go in and you will set up your no-go zones, areas that you don't want it to mow, where it is going to mow, and then pass to and from. So if you look at my map here, this area I have, these yellow sections within it are no-go zones. So these are kind of some flower beds and some bushes and things like that I don't want it to get into. So you put that in there and it will avoid that entirely. But if I wanted to mow this, the neat thing is once you set it up and you go into it, you get to pick the type of mowing it's going to do. So like I said, since this is the H model, you can go and adjust how high or low you want it to cut. And once that's done, how fast it's going to go. So mowing, it maxes out at 2 feet per second and goes down to 0.7. So if you've got really thick grass and you want to make sure it's getting all evenly cut, you may go a little slower and give it more time and more revolutions around the grass there. But you can adjust all that. But when you're just driving it from spot to spot, it can go up to 3.9 feet per second. So it's pretty quick. Path spacing is how far it is between when it's going back and forth doing its paths, how much overlap you want it to have. So if you notice that you're getting some gaps, you can increase or decrease the cutting path to kind of fix that. They give you those options, cutting path options. So you can adjust this and have it randomize it, or it will just take the path that it feels is best suited for that space. Since it's mapped it out and it knows how big it is and where it's at and the shape of it, it can kind of figure that out for you. Cutting path, so we have 4 different options. One is really just the perimeter if you just want the outside mode. But you got your typical zigzag, which is back and forth. You got a chessboard pattern, so it seems you get some lines in there that way. And then the adaptive, like I said, since it's aware of the shape of the lawn and where everything is, it can go in and optimize that path to get it done quicker and make sure it gets evenly spots. However, you may have one section that goes north-south, and the next one may go east-west, depending on the shape of the lawn and where it's at in there. But obstacle detection, so this is where you can go and adjust when it sees objects, how close it's going to get to it, or it may go through. If it's too highly sensitive, it may not think that it can go through an area which is just maybe some taller grass, and it could create issues, but that is something you get to adjust. You can see how many times you want to mow around a no-go zone. So if you want to go ahead and have it do a path around, say that the flower bed that I can have it mow a path around that to give it a little extra buffer between the flower bed and the yard itself. You can say whether you want to mow the outside or the inside first, and if you wanted to go and start halfway through or something like that, you can adjust. If you had to stop it for some reason at 25% completion, you can come in and have it restart when you're ready at the same spot by adjusting that point. And after that, you're done. So it's got some really cool options there. Once it's done and you've got your map set up, you can come in and you can edit the map and make some changes to that as well, is where you're gonna be able to put in. So these paths that like I talked about before, where I'm all out at task area, you can see that line. So if the charger isn't within your mapping area, you're gonna have to get a path so it can get to and from each place. So those are what those paths are for. But one of the fun things is you can actually create a pattern. So you can have it mow. So they got a bunch of shapes in here. You can have it mow shapes. It's got all sorts of different stuff and text. You can have it write words. It'll actually mow it into the yard, which is really cool. So it's kind of fun to be able to do that. They call it the tattoo. Outside that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, the app's pretty clean, pretty easy to use. It does have an option here. You can turn on and off the lights. So whether you want to mow during the night and have lights on or not, that's an option you can do, and you get to take care of all of it yourself, however you want to set it up. But that's the app. Let's talk about some things I think can do better. Like I said, this has been a pretty great machine for me. I really like it. It is exactly what I'd want it to be compared to the larger size. The larger size, like I said, it's tough, it's durable, it goes and gets through anything. I've never had it get stuck, you know, in places it shouldn't really get stuck on. But it does great, and the smaller one is great. It's good for little smaller lawns, smaller areas, and it does a fantastic job cutting. However, some of the things had to be cut between the smaller one to meet the price point, plus just a little more restricted size you have here. And some of the things that are missing from it compared to the previous model are the ultrasonic sensors. There is some parts of my lawn where we planted some trees and we had some bricks around it to kind of help give it a buffer space and a tomato cage to kind of help protect the little saplings that we were trying to get going. And this mower would not even realize the bricks were there. If it's going head on, it would see them with the cameras and it would stop and go around. However, if it was beside it and went to turn, it would turn right into it, knock everything down, and sometimes get high centered on the bricks, and it was causing lots of issues. The larger mower, while it was bigger, it didn't have that problem nearly as often. Well, it was a perfect, no, it would still run into things sometimes, but the additional sensors that are around the side of the larger mower helped it avoid some of those things that are to the sides of it. This one struggles with that a little bit. Otherwise, I haven't had any other issues with it. It sometimes it'll get going and forget. I don't know if it's an issue in my network or a blip in the satellite system or something, but it will sometimes stop and get lost on its way back to the mower, but that's rare. The nice thing is this one, it's only 33 pounds, so it's not too heavy. It's easy to kind of pick up, move around. The larger one's a bit heavier, so it's more battery, more metal, and more everything else. So the smaller size helps with something like that, but otherwise, I haven't had many issues with it. It's been pretty rock solid, just as I expected it to be based on my experience from the previous model. So let's wrap this thing up. Is the Mammotion Luba Mini all-wheel drive for you? Maybe. Is the Luba 2 all-wheel drive full-size for you? Maybe. If you're looking for a robot mower that is highly capable, intelligent, and can turn on a dime, has Omni Wheels, automatic charging, object recognition, both of these will suit that for you. Both of them do a great job. But it depends on your lawn size and the shape of your lawn and things you're trying to do with it. The larger size and the smaller size have the same features, aside from, like I mentioned, the sensors up front. These are these ultrasonic sensors I was talking about on the larger one that are missing from this one. But otherwise, you're getting the same controls in the app, you're getting the same durability and same build quality. So it's gonna come down to, do you have a large lawn? This one's gonna cut up to 2.5 acres. This one's cutting 0.37 at the larger size, being the 8000 model. You're also gonna have smaller battery, smaller fewer run time, smaller cutting surface, since this is a dual cutting disc and this is a single. So it's really gonna come down to what your needs are within your lawn. Do I think this is something you should get if you're just looking to shopping around for a robot lawnmower? You should definitely consider this. Depending on your lawn size and the shape of it, you may not need this much power, and you could look at a version from Mammotion, the Yucca series. You could check out, like I mentioned before, the other mowers I've reviewed from the Eufy mower. You could look at the one from RoboUp. If you got a really big lawn, maybe you want the Yarbo. But it's gonna come down to those things you're gonna have to consider. But if you're looking for a robot lawnmower that's all-wheel drive capable and isn't gonna get stuck, it's gonna get through almost anything you're gonna throw at it, definitely check out the Mammotion Luba Mini all-wheel drive. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Answer whatever I can, try and help you out the best I can. I do plan on doing a roundup at the end of the year of all the mowers I've put together and kind of put them all side by side. I do have another mower coming up I'm testing. I've got robot vacuums, more smart lights, and all kinds of stuff sticking around. So I appreciate you watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.
Okay, let's go.